Hi, this is Fairfield 2.0. Welcome aboard, and you're. Who knows what we're going to see today? We have two very cool super dudes with us. We have super manager, super designer, Mr. Gage Blanton over here. And we have our son Johnny over here, super jock and super brain. And I don't know what kind of superiority we should start with right now. Let's start with you, Gage. First of all, what are you up to these days? What's going on?
Working on a tour and just doing a new couture line.
Okay.
So completely renovating everything.
Okay. Where is your main, if somebody wants to order stuff from, let's get that out of the way right now. If somebody wants to order some of your clothing, where do they go?
Soloclothingco.com.
Okay. Have you looked into having like a storefront?
Nope.
You don't want to do the storefront. Okay, tell me why.
Just want it to be real exclusive. There's a few stores that we're working with, and we're actually not going to be working with them anymore. We're going to a couple other stores, so we just like to move around and have very select, just one or two things in each store that you're able to get, and everything else is online. Are you able to?
What kind of feedback do you get? Are you able to gauge, so to speak, what's going on as far as people's beyond sales? Do they leave comments? Do they suggest things?
Yeah. I mean, everything has been great. Like, I haven't gotten really absolutely any negative response. I mean, it's just to kind of test the waters, just saturate one market and see how it does, and then go to the next and just find different. I mean, we've done really well in Pittsburgh, New Jersey area, and then we're moving out to Cali right now. I just sponsored a new artist in California.
You sponsored a new artist?
Yeah.
You want to go into that?
Yeah, his name is Tay F. Third.
Uh-huh.
And he's a hip-hop artist, and he's really big in Long Beach.
Okay.
So
you're dressing him?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And does he, from the stage, he gives shouts out to your clothing line and all that?
You'll be seeing all my stuff in some of his new music videos coming up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and that's been really good, because I'm from California.
You're from California?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
You're not from Fairfield? You weren't born and raised here? Do you, what part of California?
L.A.
L.A.?
Yeah.
Okay. And you moved to Fairfield?
Actually, I was raised in Portland, Oregon.
And you moved to Fairfield.
Right.
What was the progression? Okay. How'd you get here?
Complete random luck of the draw.
You know, this is not an unusual story.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
what is
my
your...
mom lives in St. Louis. She moved to St. Louis, and I lived there for a while. And then from there, I found out about the college, and I came up for that.
Okay. Now, you talked about saturation in certain markets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh and New Jersey.
Right.
How would you define that?
Really just I have a lot of contacts, so I'll make contacts in that city, and then we'll push my clothing through there and see how it does, and do that for 2 months, and then pull back and see, and just check out what the statistics were, how many you sold and in what time frame, and then I'll do that in another city, and just see what sells more, and then that's the city I choose. So right now I'm aiming on Chicago.
Chicago.
And I have a lot of Ville, Fooch, who I sponsor and work with.
Fooch, these are, as in performance, Ville as in Villanova.
Villanova Slim, yeah. They're Grand National is a new project we're working on with them.
So so with you, it's important to sort of, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's important for you to get them wearing the clothing. That's the endorsement.
Right.
That's really the endorsement.
I mean, and from that you get a lot of sales.
Okay, what is the relation? How does that work? In other words, so I'm coming to a concert, I see a video and they're wearing certain designs.
Right.
This is like something that's missing from my education. How does one make the jump from design, from liking the music into wanting to wear their clothes?
Well, you have to we make a personal connection with the fans, is what we try to do. So you'll meet Fooch or somebody with a shirt, and if you don't have money, we'll give you something. If we're at a show or something, and then a lot of people just come back, just grab. I don't know what it is.
So you have a little. So this is so this is sort of it's almost like merch being sold.
I don't like to use the word merch though.
Okay.
I try to stay away from that word.
You're right. Okay, so it's like your designs being sold at the concerts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll go to concerts with the people I sponsor. I'll do shows there, and then we're working on doing some in-store shows with PAC because they have the new album releasing.
Nice.
So we're
As
working
in
on that.
Purple Asteroid Cadillac?
Yes, Purple Asteroid Cadillac.
Have I met them?
I don't know.
I think they might have been here.
And then their album Take Shape, I did the artwork for that. I do a lot of the artwork for all of them.
You did, and you did an amazing Purple Asteroid Cadillac party / Universe party / Crew FM poster that I want to frame it. That is so good. You are one of my favorites. It's almost like now we have this place. Not many people have heard of it, called Bluefish on the square. I'm kidding, of course. Bluefish being like one of the biggest stories in town. But what do you? It's like you have a store like that caters to a certain demographic and women. So what would you consider?
Bluefish is a store right next to Revelations.
Yeah, no, not Revelations. It's on the corner next to where the jewelry place was. It's in that art across the street from the square.
Okay.
Anyone who wants to help me can jump right in as far as exactly where that is. Jason's on the other side of the window. He can't help me anymore. Jason, get back here in the studio. We need you. Jason Strong, sound man, cameraman extraordinaire. It's there. But what I wanted to ask you is that when you have a store like that, isn't it tempting to, even locally, because you are a Fairfieldian, is it tempting to put your stuff someplace, to have some sort of a brick and mortar?
I mean, I don't feel like...
Is that a bad marketing term now? Brick and mortar, it's like, shut up.
I really don't
say
feel
that
like...
anymore.
I feel like mine doesn't really match any store that would be in Fairfield, and I've seen too many stores in Fairfield, clothing stores, especially last 6 months.
Right.
So I just don't...
Well, what about... Okay, here's another thing. What about someplace like beauty shop isn't as open as it used to be,
right.
So that would be a perfect place.
I mean, I had shirts that I did with Lane Weaver there for a little while, and and it's just like, I don't know. The market here is not good enough to have your stuff in the store and sell it. And I'm out here. I do shows. I DJ at Universe Party now, twice a week, like with him. So I mean, I'm out here enough that I always have my clothes with me, so you can basically see me and buy it from me like on spot.
So you're like, okay, $50. Here's your shirt. What is the price range?
I mean, they're getting more expensive. This new line we're doing is going to be...
That's what I hear. I've word on the street.
It's going to be
this guy's taking off. You better buy him now.
It's going to be completely cut and sew, so all from scratch.
Oh, sweet.
So that's just going to up it a little bit. Right now, I mean, anywhere from 10 to 40.
Wow, very nice. What kind of... All right, let's look at some of the designs that you have. For instance, this is one of my favorites. May I? I'm following it here. I love that.
Yeah,
it's so me.
This is one of the... a lot of the designs we do, I try to like do timeless designs that will last for years and it won't change. Like I kind of stay away from trends and do more of a classic look.
So what have you got going? You're mixing, and I notice you're mixing various like genres too.
Right,
I mean, it's not just style. It's you're mixing genres and concepts with your art. Here's another one. This is good. Universe party of everything.
Yeah, and this is it's kind of a take on the American flag, and then this is for the Universe party, the DJ KRUU show.
This looks like something that
all encompassing.
This is like something Shane would wear immediately, right?
Right. And like, we actually have new hats that we're doing for that are cut and sew, and I won't give out too much information on them, but there will be leopard print fur on the bottom. Leopard print? Real fur, too. Dare you? And real fur? Yeah. Well, you're going to start having the people throw, like, vegetables and goat blood. Not goat blood, but
sorry,
Vita. But everything is made in the USA 100%, too, and that's one thing I really like to stick by. Is, if I was in Europe, I'd do everything made in Europe. Since you know what I mean. All right, I was kidding earlier when I said I wanted to call you Gage Skywalker because, of course, we all know it's Solo. I'm planted. But this is cool, too. This is your... I imagine this. You've trademarked this. You've patented this. I think the main logos are copywritten or trademarked. How do you do that these days? Just paperwork. Can I wear this? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, it's basically. And I swear I won't remember last time I folded the cap. It's basically just paperwork, just going to the state and doing. Supposed to wear like. But you can do some break. That's good. If you wear it like that, you need to know how to break dance or something. Yeah. I'm gonna do it right now for everybody. DJ Mike. I also want to ask this guy. What do you see all these kind of designs. This is the news, though. Let's look. This is the news. Sorry, I just had to. I'm in the zone. I'm wearing my hat. And we're good. All right. Oh, wow. Very nice.
Okay.
And it's not just a regular camo. If you notice, the panda head's all in it. It's like.
Can we get a close up of that? I mean, let's say I do this. Okay. Wonderful. All right.
This is part of the couture line that's cut, so this is like one of the first items.
Here we go. Perfect. Look at this.
I'm totally feeling it right now.
I was going to ask you, and I interrupted. I didn't mean to, but see, this is an episode of the show I'm never going to be able to watch again because of the hat. I know this. Like, why did I put the hat on like that?
It's going to be great. I'm going to love it.
When you see this type of clothing, is this what you gravitate towards? I notice you're a fashion conscious guy here. Would you be wearing stuff like this too?
I mean, just as Gage said, there's once you see kind of an artist out there wearing something like that, a lot more people are gravitated towards wearing that similar kind of clothing, especially somebody you can connect with on a personal level. And once you make that personal connection, then it really doesn't matter what that person's doing. I don't know, you could say it's a good culture, it's an unfortunate culture, but either way, the situation is such that people will start to mimic the behavior of that person, which they feel a personal connection to, who is as well famous.
So, but I don't see a lot of people running around with like the Skrillex head. The dead mouse. I mean, it's sort of like.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know, right? But you've got.
It's all in proportion.
It's all relative. But
that's the difference between. I feel like that's very. Something I think he's sold out. Like, I'm sorry.
You're talking about Mr. Skrillex.
Yeah. That's just like.
I track.
Media, like making it bigger than it.
It's a love-hate thing that I have for Mr. Skrillex because
the
only reason why I'm a fan is because he put nasty sounds into some of the synthesizer stuff. But on the other hand, that's also stuff that I remember from the '80s. So it's like he's not rewriting the book. But on the other hand, I also like that he goes for something out. He's trying to, but for me personally, I think if you're going to go that far, forget the commerciality part. People are going to buy it because you're Skrillex.
Right.
Go even further. Get some more really, really great beats on there. Get some really strange sounds on there.
And it's like he's at the point where he can be doing anything he wants.
He could be doing anything he wants. That's
so
right. So it's like we're gonna
what they have you written out for you.
Right, exactly. It's like now really take us somewhere. Beck, perfect example of that. Do you ever heard of Beck?
Yeah.
Okay, thank God. All right. But you've never heard of Beck, I'll bet.
No.
See, this is
funny. I grew
funny.
up with music. Like that music's been my life, and that's like what I've done is I love all types of music, so I just accumulate that into it.
You realize this is still on my head. If I take it off, I'm going to have hat hair, so it's got to stay on for the rest of the show.
If I may make a comment about his clothing line, the thing that I think is really important that Gage is doing right now is he's targeting not only one specific type of clothing, but he's targeting a wide range of clothing so that many people, depending on what kind of clothing they want to wear, whether it's like a lot more of like a sophisticated business look, whether it's more of a street look or whether it's more of a goth look, either way, whichever way you want to go, it seems like there's a wide range of clothing that will match every single individual. So,
are you saying in general? You're saying with Gage's line?
Gage's line, because as you can, there's just different styles on the table.
Gage Solo Blanton, as I live and breathe. You're also catering to like high end like businessmen.
Yeah, we're doing.
What do they wear?
Well, in the new couture line, we're doing really nice fitting jeans in multiple colors, and then we're doing button up shirts.
All right, I want to add. And by the way, you have a rip in your. I just wanted to point that out. I have a needle and thread off camera.
I'm keeping my rips, dude.
And you, young. No, who are some of the artists that we should look at as far as style and their followers and their fans emulating them? Who are some of these people these days? In the old days, the real old days would be like Madonna, and then all the little girls would be dressing like Madonna, and in the 90s, the boy bands, and everybody would be dressing like the boy bands. These are terrible references. Now it's like, but let's say electronica and let's say more hip stuff now. Who are the main fashionistas in that?
I would say Kanye West is probably one of the biggest, but since the past couple months, I wouldn't say so because he's wearing like leather skirts and stuff. But before that point, I feel like Pittsburgh really scene is really one of the, for streetwear, is one that most people follow. Like Wiz Khalifa, he's from Pittsburgh, and people, when he got really famous, he started wearing big brands, big streetwear brands, and he made them larger. So I would say that's one of the big things.
And the whole entire idea of an artist has really changed nowadays. whether it goes all the way to a tennis professional wearing some clothing line. Especially because there aren't that many sportswear clothing lines that are famous. Once a professional, for example, tennis player, basketball player, wears a clothing line, immediately people start wearing like Jordans and things like that.
Well, it's funny.
Exactly.
In sports, it's the most obvious. I just didn't know that it was that prevalent in music, although I notice more and more.
I saw
It's
that
true.
with this company called Diamond Supply Co. They weren't that big. They were a California brand. And they did kind of like skateboarding parts and some just like regular screen printed shirts. Mm-hmm. And when Wiz Khalifa started getting famous, he wore nothing but Diamond Supply Co. And now you can get it at the mall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get to that point though. If I get to that point, I want to cut back and not start having my stuff in every store. I don't want you to be able to get my stuff in the mall.
But what if I only go to Walmart? How am I ever going to get your stuff?
Who doesn't have a computer or a phone that can go online these days?
Space age technology, man. It's the World Wide Web. It's crazy stuff.
What did you call it? The world?
I mean, you can use PayPal and pay stuff straight from your phone. Nowadays, so.
I have bought things from my phone, which the first time I did that, it felt a little strange. But I mean, I wasn't analyzing it. The first time are we going to buy something right now to give an example of this? Like we'll get something from Amazon at this moment. The first time, just to complete that thought, the first time I did that, it was sort of like I felt giggly after. It was sort of like, oh my God, I can do this too.
Credit card from your phone. So I mean,
let's show Mr. Camera here.
Just credit card readers. So I mean, you can literally pay for something with anything from anywhere. So I don't feel like you need to have it in stores.
Now you brought up tennis before. How do we seg into your piece now? Samar
Speaking of
Sanjani.
sports.
Yes, super jock over here. Would you talk about your latest adventure, Mr. Tennis Pro? Because, or if you're not a tennis pro, you really are. You're amazing. I've watched you in action.
Thank you.
You and your trainer. Who's that guy again?
I'm Kyle Cleveland. Well,
I'm kidding, Kyle. Hi, Kyle.
Kyle has been my personal coach, as well as Chris Armstrong, and then Lawrence Iyer has been my team coach for the past 4 years.
Nice. All right, what you have gotten. You're talking about 4 years, but this goes way beyond 4 years. You've been practicing tennis, and you've been playing tennis for a long time. And when did you start turning the corner on, your parents noticing, your coaches noticing? It's like, ooh, this guy kind of has the talent. We should follow up on this.
I've heard about him before I even met him. Just being here, I've heard about him.
Yeah.
Just
when I was
talking.
When I was at the rec center, one of the joys of the day would be if I were. If I were in my office or I were manning the front desk for a little bit while, the kids were off having lunch or whatever, and this guy would come in with Kyle, and it would be like, oh, okay. Someone would come in, they need my attention, and I'm like, yeah, hold on a second.
I mean, he's creating almost like a fame for himself here in this town. Like, people talk about him without, like, I've never met him, and like when I first moved here, and I never saw him, and I knew who he was just from tennis.
He's a living legend. Fairfield. What do you, and soon the world, as he ventures out into the world, where are you going?
I'm going to San Diego, or actually La Jolla, California, to study bioengineering and business in UC San Diego.
You have some nerve.
That's awesome.
Leaving no, you had some nerve leaving this town. You guys are the dust. What is this? No, that's really terrific. And talk about your majors again. You have like 3 or 4 of them that you're going for at once.
I have 2 right now, bioengineering and business, and it's interesting because when people hear bioengineering in Fairfield, they start to really panic and they start to think, oh, genetics.
Yeah, you're going to ruin all our food.
And so what I like to tell people is that I'm taking more of a biomimicry approach right now. So it's taking more of natural occurrences in nature, like a colony of ants or a swarm of bees, and adapting those behaviors and replicating those behaviors in software. So then those software can be inputted into robots. And
interesting.
Yeah. And right now what I'm doing is I've created a group of 5 robots which work like a colony of ants. And these 5 robots detect, and first of all, they lay out a field with different sensors, and they go throughout the field and start pinpointing different, basically like trees and different objects, so that they can have points to refer to. And then they search for heat-emitting nodes, which in natural disaster recovery would be humans. So as you guys were talking about, in New Orleans, there's a firefighter rule: never risk a life to save a life. So they will not be able to go to areas where humans may be trapped because it might risk the firefighters' lives.
Right.
Because of this, I thought I'd create a group of robots which work like a colony of ants. Individually, they're each weak, but together as a group, they're extremely powerful and can traverse an area and plot all the points on a geographical map.
How big or small are these robots?
I should have brought one in, but they're about.
But you had no idea what we were going to talk about
did,
today.
You didn't let me
It's
know,
like,
man.
you'll see.
You just like saw him be there. Okay, I'm here. Well, no, they're about this big, and right now the funding I've all had to basically use my own funding and resources, so I haven't been able to.
And that's from your paper route.
Yeah.
Okay.
The goal is to basically make these robots a lot smaller and maybe in the hundreds or thousands of robots, but very, very small.
Very small.
Just like a colony of ants.
Wow. But that size even? That size maybe?
You never know in the future, because now they have, now I guess in the army and different parts, all different organizations all over the world, they're creating robots which are the size of flies. They can go and they can record information and come back, and mini drones or whatever they call them.
Yeah. And I remember in, what was the movie, the guy from the Avengers, Hawkeye from the Avengers starred in, about Iraq. Oh God, I can't remember the name of it. Great movie. Jason knows I can't hear him. Anyway, it was this great movie where they sent in, one of the scenes I think was they sent in a robot or something to sort of see if something was an explosive in this area. And so we've been dabbling. Of course, we've been dabbling with robots forever. I guess the robots came after we were dabbling with like dolphins and things. I think that's the progression, strangely. But with robotic technology, you are really, that's the future. How can you not? It's such an obvious thing. Everything is going to be evolving around some sort of an artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
Everything. So if that's the case, you've chosen well, sir.
Yes. Well, I think the main thing to realize about this situation is that I'm not only just going into robotics, which in the future can lead to basically a disastrous reduction in our materials that we can use for the robots, and we won't have enough materials or natural resources. What I'm doing is I'm replicating natural behaviors. For example, an individual that I met at a conference in Ohio a few years back, a Biomimicry Institute conference, he was on a cruise ship, I believe, and he saw a whale jump out of the water, and based on the shape of its fin, he replicated that and adapted it to wind turbines. And now the efficiency increased by 15% of the wind turbines.
So it's like mimicking things in nature in
Precisely.
order to. Well, we've been doing that allegedly pharmaceutically for a long time too. It's like we've been trying to make, looking at the molecules, examining things like that of things that are natural in nature, and we've been trying to mimic them. On the other hand,
natural version.
creating a natural version of the natural thing in nature.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. I mean, there are things, there are lessons we still haven't learned.
Right.
And that because we just haven't been observing well enough. But now, like applying, it's almost like now the technology is at a certain point. Now you go back to nature and you see, okay, now what can nature add to this? That's really sweet. That's sweet. It's great that you have an idea, have a mind towards that. What you've actually been able to apply some of your knowledge in, like maybe a summer job or two.
Well, the summer of my sophomore year in high school, I took a course at Stanford for artificial intelligence. And that went really well. That really inspired me. That really got me more into nano-robotics and swarm-based robotics. So rather than just having one robot accomplish many tasks, which was my previous year's goal, I was working in a First Tech Challenge robotics competition through a high school team. I decided that I'm going to separate from that and actually start working on swarm robotics, where individual robots are fairly weak, but the more you put them together, the stronger they get as a cohesive whole.
Nice. By the way, the name of that movie was The Hurt Locker.
Oh.
Do you remember The Hurt Locker? Sorry.
Yeah.
An old mind has the knowledge. It just takes a while to get there. Are you looking at your future as, and you're not going to give up your tennis either?
Well, I'm not going to be playing for the varsity team for UCSD, especially because I have a double major. I'll be playing club tennis, and then I'm also most likely going to be working for David Lynch Foundation over in San Diego.
Funny how that works. A lot of people from Fairfield somehow end up over the David. I wonder what the connection is there. But it's cool. It's sort of like we have an underground railroad to a really cool.
Well, it was interesting because I had no intention whatsoever. I mean, it's not like I didn't want to work for DLF, but
don't get me wrong. I think it's
no. I understand, but it's not like I didn't want to work for them, but I never intended to work for them until I went to San Diego, and I realized that one of the biggest college facilities for veterans for PTSD is in San Diego, and they're looking for a test to be done on those victims. And then I came and heard the whole entire speech here that was in the Sondheim about PTSD a few days ago, and that just blew me away. And I said, they're looking for a test to be done. Why not at BTM? They've already tried it, and you should have seen the crowd the other day with those people there just listening to the PTSD victims. It was insane. And right then and there PTSD victims from Virginia, from Rhode Island, who had all showed up there, and they all raised their hand to learn TM. And now
TM, you say? What does that
say? And now they're going to be learning Transcendental Meditation, and they're going to be sponsored by a PTSD organization. So,
well, it seems like you've got a very altruistic outlook as far as trying to help people, and as far as wanting to apply your knowledge to better humans. Is that part of Sam Arsanjani?
I guess it is. I mean, I've always thought of. I understand that, for example, in robotics, there needs to be that military application that it's always going to keep growing.
Yeah.
And I don't really have any comments to say about that because I can't really speak.
Well, you also want to be modest about it.
I don't understand about their situations and everything, but I also want to really emphasize how much robotics and swarm intelligence and technology can help in the fields of medicine, search and rescue, just saving lives. It's just so much easier. You see in the bloodstream, the red blood cells in a body can even work like a swarm of robots. So if we can replicate those in robotics and get those nano robots to be injected into a system to destroy a clot, then we can save thousands of lives.
How intensely have you studied nanotechnology?
I've not studied nanotechnology
Have you
that
you've
much,
read
but
about it, but you haven't read about it.
I've read about it. I've mostly studied swarm intelligence, which is, as I was speaking about, bees and ants and flocks of birds. And my latest project is taking parts from a colony of ants, a swarm of bees, and a flock of birds, and taking the best of all three and programming into those 5 robots that I built.
Okay, as long as you don't reprogram in the apple to have these qualities, I guess we're all fine with that. Let's get Gage Solo Blanton back in here. It was somebody's birthday recently, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, yesterday was my birthday.
How do you, at 22 years old? Oh, did I give away something here? At 22 years old, this is really great. That you're sweet that you have a path. You know what you're going to be doing, and you too. I mean, and you're 18.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys are really lucky in that you do have like this. You have the path that you want to be on. You're very secure about what you're doing, and they're 2 different, very, very disparate paths. But at the same time, there's a lot that's shared.
They're not that. Yeah,
they're not.
Really
There's right. It's for instance, it's the level of there's a level of curiosity that brings you to certain discoveries and explorations in the things that you like to do. What are some of those things that this is going to be a strange question, I admit it, but Fairfield's used to this, so what's the difference? But what are some of the things you guys? And how long have you been here? How long have you been in Fairfield?
Off and on for 3-4 years.
3-4 years. Okay. All right. Let me phrase it a little differently. What are some of those things that are commonalities in your childhoods that maybe brought out this interest in creativity, an interest in wanting to do something?
I don't know. For me personally, just creative, just art, just anything, drawing has been my outlet since I can remember.
Well, also, what I'm looking for is was there a specific video game you both played which was inspirational and both of you looking in a certain direction?
I think mainly what it is, Mike, is that it's there's an environment in Fairfield that allows lots of different artists and athletes and scientists to communicate with each other in a very cohesive manner. And so once these individuals from different disciplines start communicating with each other, that's where genius designs come out of, and that's where inspiration sparks from. So.
I love it. It's almost like a phraseology, genius designs.
Yeah, I mean,
you might want to look into genius designs.
And that's what I've spent my time here. But while I'm here, not in school, I focus 24/7 on designs, just perfecting the craft, basically.
What is it like? How does it hit you? I'm curious because I think I know what it's like for the most part. I have various descriptions from musicians and even artists to a degree. But as a designer, how do you get hit with inspiration? What happens?
I don't know. Personally, it's just inspiration just comes just from
You're driving around and all of a sudden it's like, oh man,
right, or just like an idea will pop in my head. I write it down and that turns into a huge project. Like I don't know, it's completely random with that. But I felt like I'm lucky because for these years, like I probably will be moving soon. But while while
you
I
just turned
am
22.
here,
We were looking forward to like 30 and 31 with you,
it's
but
time
no.
to expand my brand into a larger place. But while I'm here, it's been amazing because I get to focus 24/7 on my designs and perfecting what I am doing.
Were there things about Fairfield which inspired you? Fairfield itself? The answer has to be yes because you're on camera.
It's a tricky
Fairfield
question.
is
Though. I
watching.
mean, of course, environment always has something to do with what you do.
The people that you've met here.
Right.
I mean,
The people I've met here are great. They're some of the best people I've met. I mean, of course, I've lived in like St. Louis where there's a lot of
you're saying
shitty
that there are good people there. There are
part
great people.
of my language, but yeah. Pretty much for the most part, everybody I met here has been just really, really nice and personable, and never really met that anywhere else.
No. Yeah.
If I may make a comment about...
I was going to go back to creativity with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to make a comment.
Where I was going with you is I wanted to ask you, when you get inspired, whether it be for a design, a robotic design or something like that, or even like something you can add to your utility belt when you're playing a sport. How does that come to you?
Well, I think both you're talking about similarity that Gage and I both have, and I think it's a similarity that's in all individuals in the world is what drives us is passion. Our passion about some specific thing, whether it be skateboarding or
you skateboard?
No, I don't. I'm just saying whether it be skateboarding or
a sport you don't. Oh my God, we've discovered this.
Or playing tennis or art or science, whatever it is, it's that passion that keeps you going.
Yeah.
And that makes somebody literally unstoppable. That unstoppable passion that comes into someone is basically that passion that came into me when I found tennis and found robotics is the biggest gift that I could have had, and that's a gift that we all share.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like that's exactly.
By the way, anybody tuning in now wondering why is he wearing that hat? Gage designed it. And if somebody's interested in your clothing line, once again, where do they look on the web?
SoloClothingCo.com.
Okay. One more time?
SoloClothingCo.com.
There we go. What are you doing as far as, are you staying, you're moving on to other things. What are you going to be doing as far as keeping your athletic prowess intact? What are you going to do?
Well, I mean, as of right now, I'm playing basketball twice a week.
You also play basketball?
And then I'm playing soccer twice a week with a bunch of guys, and I'm still playing tennis. It's just in Fairfield, it's impossible to play tennis out of 100-degree heat. But
yeah. Well, the best place to play tennis right now probably is the rec center. Because it's probably the coolest place in town.
It's like a sauna in there,
man. Oh my gosh!
But the thing is, how would I continue playing tennis with all these things? The thing is, sports are something that basically keeps me sane.
Mm-hmm. Are you an ESPN junkie too?
Not really.
Yeah, it's more about the physical playing, isn't it?
Yeah, I do watch the sports, but it's kind of the outlet, as you were talking about, that you had in art. It's the outlet that I always had when I go on the tennis court. Nothing else matters, just me and my opponent. And even the opponent, after a while, disappears once you start to improve your skills. It's just you in the court. And once you master that feeling of just you in the court, it's literally like all of your stress of the day starts to dissolve, and you can really get back. I mean, if I want to work on a project and I have a deadline, for example, I will go out and I'll play tennis for 2 or 3 hours, get exhausted, come home, relax, take a shower or whatever, and then after that I can really focus. I really get my head's just straight on, and I know exactly what to do, and I know what the most efficient route is, so I won't be kind of beating around the bush for 2 or 3 hours. I know exactly where to go and what to do.
Nice. It's amazing that, I mean, your mind is one of those minds too that you sort of like you self-schedule in a way that's not even it doesn't take a lot of effort.
Right,
you just
like
go there.
Just,
what about you? Are you like that too? Yeah. That's a lot of creative people, and they don't realize it. I mean, there's an element of slacker in most creative people that I know. I got it. Everybody's got it. Yeah. Whatever. But
I plead the fifth.
but what cuts through the slacker is that there is this element of like you can get it done in a certain window of time and whatever, and it is procrastination to whatever degree. But there's something. But there's also something behind that. There's that element of Yeah, but that's also what's driving me to get
Right.
the thing done, and it's part of the plan. However, not in the non-slacking zone. When you get into the thing that you're doing, I'll bet you can go hours and hours and hours and not even know what time it is. Like time disappears.
I
right?
do that on a weekly basis.
You know, it's amazing
Yeah.
that you said earlier that I didn't even equate Fairfield with Fairfield, who's watching Fairfield 2.0 right now. Well, let's reintroduce everybody. This is Gage Solo Blanton over here, and this is our son Johnny. And the reason why I'm giggling is that he sent me, I've been calling him Sam from like the beginning, and he sent me a Facebook message and it was spelled S-A-M, and I never had made that association with you ever before. So now it's like, so today I've been like resisting calling him Sam. So, I wanted to ask you, and I want, because of the thing you brought up before, Fairfield hasn't really been associated with very much beyond, let's say, transcendental meditation, music, because we have like so many musicians here, and artists. Those are the three you always hear. You brought up the science community. Oh, and sustainable living is starting to get some more presence. You brought up athletics, and you brought up science. Now, it's arguable that science could also be thrown into the sustainable living category, but not really. It's a kind of different thing. I never thought of Fairfield like that. And is that your you guys view of Fairfield in addition to the domes and music and art?
Well, I mean, it depends, because there's definitely a wide variety of brilliant scientists in town. I mean, but I think there are a lot.
As in Hagelin.
As in, just I'm blanking right now. But Dr.
Fred Travis,
Dr. Wallace.
Fred Travis. Here's a plug for Fred Travis. Fred Travis, I'm going to have you on this show. You were my favorite teacher in my life. I love you. Okay.
One of my all-time
listening,
best
Fred?
teachers.
And see, the thing is, lots of genius scientists nowadays are very much modest. And the thing is, they don't like it. Doesn't seem like in Fairfield they're going out to say, "Hey, we're this good. This is how good we are." So listen up, and
they're modest on the other kind of like.
But there's not that many, as you said. There's few individuals, but they're absolutely brilliant. And I mean, just the fact that to be able to test and prove that transcendental meditation is working on a wide variety of topics like high cholesterol, high blood pressure, PTSD. You need some brilliant minds to be working at that, to be able to test and to accurately jot down all the test results.
Now you realize that over the years that's also been that's why people have learned TM. I mean, they're not buying in so much to a spirituality element. They're not buying in so much to a, I'm now in a club element, or a lot of these other things that kind of bring people into like new or wacky or strange or whatever things. They're coming in because the doctor said you better learn TM or you're going to die of high blood pressure.
Yeah.
Stuff like a heart attack and stuff like that. I mean, that's really what a lot of people came into it from, and that's where. So the science element of this, I guess, is important in order to try to keep reproving that. But there are also other breakthroughs. That aside, there are also other breakthroughs that those scientists are looking into. For instance, Hagelin, with the whole his superstring theory, is now starting to get more traction in other parts of the scientific community, and I think that's it's sort of like, well, he had it a while back, guys.
I still feel like there's enough push and demand for like progressing though more and more, like what I mean. I feel like people like him are essential for that, because there needs to be somebody with a passion.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's slowed down. It's gotten to the point where there's this information and it's just been sitting there.
Yeah.
And it's like we need to build off of that. You need to do more. You can't just let that same information sit there.
And the other thing of that is that where artists and musicians are very happy to get in front of the camera and talk about things, or people with agendas, or people that are designers. But we have a community which is so interesting as far as like, we don't know about it because of the modesty. We don't know the amount of scientists that are really here, sort of like doing their thing. But also, let's move into sports. I have seen some really good athletes in town, and not just at I've seen it everywhere in all the high schools.
Yeah.
I've seen great acting. In this town.
Fantastic acting.
I was like, where did that come from? You have Randy West, and you have all the people, the teachers in the local schools that are doing stuff. Brennan was wonderful. With
two individuals from our class, two girls, which it's almost impossible to get two girls from the same school in the same acting program because there's only 20 accepted or something like that. Have both made it to Tisch in New York.
Yeah, there you go.
And just absolutely brilliant. I was really blessed this year to have a really great class.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, you had a great class. You had a terrific class. The funny thing is, I really liked your class a lot, and I had an opportunity to sort of teach at the school, and one of the things that was a little sad about that was it was like, oh yeah, but all those guys are going. That whole year is going. It's kind of sad.
Right.
But there's some up and coming, really powerful kids.
If I could bring you back to sports for a second.
Yeah.
There's even in like Marshy School, Fairfield High School, you really see
The football team. You do some of the plays and some of the action there is really wonderful.
In our school, for example, there hasn't been that much about sports, but our tennis team has gotten in the top 4 in the state all 4 years of my high school career, as well as Thomas Weiss's high school career, and so that's one big kind of.
I feel like
thing that we have.
Tennis here, I feel like, is an unsung sport that is one of the biggest sports.
And then we had
Everybody
Sophia
does it
Iwobi
too,
in
right?
basketball.
Yeah.
Multiple pros.
We have, Paul DeAngelis and his brother Mickey and John were great golfers.
Yeah, golf is sort of like an underground thing here, but everybody, yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot of people with great talent waiting to shine. And to those people, I tell them, just work at what you have, just follow your passion and shine.
Yeah. What would you say is for kids that are, this is an environment that's very supportive of kids who want to just test any kind of talent that they think they have or that their parents think that they have. What would you advise kids who, this is like a slant on the question I ask artists because I go, what is your advice for young artists, for new artists? Except with you guys, what is your advice for kids who want to get into a program, who want to follow their passion that we talked about earlier, that's driving them with their creativity? How do they, in other words, let's say they're shy. Let's say they don't know how to break through that thing. Do you have any advice, like steps on how they can like get themselves out of that? Because
I really feel like if you feel uncomfortable about it, I feel like if you put enough work into it to where you're comfortable and you feel like you've started to master it, whatever it is you're doing, you shouldn't have any problem. You know what I mean? Like after you put in enough hours with anything, you'll be good enough at a certain point, and then at that point, the confidence should just come with it. Is
that the 10,000 hour theory, kind of? But also kids that have an interest in something and they know intuitively, on some level, I really want to be an animator. Let's say, how do they? But they don't really have the. Is it the same advice? It's like just figure out, just go into action, just leap into action, and then see where those paths take you.
Yeah, you got to act. But the thing is that Fairfield is an environment unlike many others, which I believe that there is really no excuse for anyone to not reach out to other individuals in the same field because everybody's so open to each other. Everybody's so kind and caring and willing to support and nurture every single group and every single individual. At our Marshy School, our principal, Dr. Richard Bell, he goes to every single major event, whether it's tennis, whether it's speech. He's gone to Ames and then back to Mount Pleasant before just because of 2 different things in one day. And he travels all the way with our sports teams and with our acting teams and everything. And so there are individuals all over Fairfield just available, waiting for people to come to them and say, hey, I also have this passion and interest. Can you help me out? And guaranteed they're going to say yes. If not, they will refer to use someone that will say yes. And that's an environment that we have in Fairfield. So there really isn't an excuse for you not to pursue your goals.
Is the theory we don't have this elsewhere? Like Fairfield, it's a unique pot for this type of thing?
I believe so. There's such a wide variety of individuals in Fairfield. And everybody seems to have some kind of common goal. And that common goal is bettering the world and making it a more sustainable atmosphere, so that for our kids and our kids' kids and everything, it can be sustained in a very efficient and timely fashion.
Interesting. And I feel like on a more nationwide level, with just people in general, something about it is people are afraid to fail. And it's like I feel like that's what holds most people back from doing what they love.
But that isn't here. There isn't a big fear of failure here.
Exactly.
People throw themselves in the water to swim here.
Well, and there's so many people like big people like that, like even Donald Trump. Like, he's had so many businesses that failed before he made that one that made those millions. He had 100 probably that failed before that. And that's what you don't know about that, because they didn't do anything. As soon as he made that one, now he's a household name.
Right, exactly. And I mean, in Fairfield, I think the reason that there is not that fear to fail is mainly because when people fail, there's always other people around them which will just knock them back on their feet. And they'll fall down. People will bring them back on their feet and push them forward again, and then they'll fail again. They'll just keep falling. And the thing is, you really need that in order to because if you fail in some area, like in my robotics projects, I failed hundreds of times before I got my program right, but I would take parts of every single failure that I would have, that little part that did succeed, and then create another program that a little part in that program would succeed, and put all these little parts together, and that creates a holistic success. And that success is what takes you on in life. So,
is that Fairfield in a nutshell? I mean, what is
Fairfield? Is a lot, man. There's a lot more to Fairfield than even we can sit here for days and talk about, and there's still going to be more about Fairfield. And the thing is, people need to come here and experience it. Whatever kind of person there is out there, they need to come to Fairfield if they don't feel comfortable where they are. If they come to Fairfield, I guarantee you they'll find people with the same kind of beliefs and same kind of appreciations for different things and things like that. So.
What do you do about people from major cities who come here and they feel they're going out of their minds because it's so claustrophobic, because it's 5.9 miles?
That's what I was.
There you
That's
go.
what I was.
And that's where I am from time to time. I do have to take my trips. I just came back from Nashville, and it was very scary because I was so tempted. People are trying to, you have your friends seducing you, trying to get wherever they are. Right. And I had the seduction process was happening in Nashville, and I was really, it was interesting getting back here because I had my night's sleep, and then I woke up in the morning and I realized I'm home.
Right. And that's like I've learned to enjoy my time here, but I won't be.
Well, you're a young guy. You're 22 years old. I hear, you've got a whole life ahead of you, and a lot of people. The other thing about Fairfield, apparently, is that it's the Hotel California. You can check it anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Yeah.
And somebody else said something interesting the other day, which was another phrase, which was. You can't leave Fairfield until Fairfield is done with you, which is a little more ominous, but it is true. It's sort of true. A lot of people go through a lot of stuff here. I know personally. I'm not going to get into details, but it's like I look back at the time period that I spent here, and I went, "What?" It's like, "Oh my God, what was that?" It's a strange, amazing place like that.
And
very
that's
unique.
what I'm just using it for what I can get out of it.
Well, in a good way.
No, in the best way possible. Yeah. And I mean, it's been amazing being here because I've been able to focus on what I want.
Yeah. And
not had outside distractions.
I was quoted in the Ledger. I'm not. I think I did say this, so it's a right quote, sort of. But I think that what I was saying was something to the effect of, I'm a big advocate of the, let's say, the beauty shop, the musical kids here. But it's bigger than that. It isn't just the beauty shop. I've always been in the role of mentor, one way or another, my whole life, whether it be kids working under me or whether it be like Uncle Mike to like friends' kids and all of that. And I've always had this certain age range of who those kids are. So I'm very used to, I feel more comfortable in a lot of ways, and you may be seeing that today on the show, with kids than I am and with people my age. Well, I'm sorry. It's also called arrested development, but we won't go there. But I am such an advocate, and I'm such a fan of the energy of the town's kids. Beauty shop is the perfect example, only because I've been dealing with those kids a little bit longer, because there's been the musical element. Dealing with them meaning going to their shows, being friendly with them, being supportive as best I can. If they need advice on something, I give them advice. But I'm not gonna be stepping on anybody's art. I'm not gonna be like saying, you do this, you do that. But you are a perfect example. You guys are proof of the bigger picture. This is a really sweet town when it comes to the kids, because there's just so much energy here, and there's so much positivity, and there's really very, very little toxic sort of behavior and toxic stuff going on. This is an amazing. I've never seen that before. Now, I grew up in New York. I'm a little more jaded than not. In California, I'm a little more jaded than not, because you always have problems. There were always like dramas. There was drama. There was problems and stuff. I'm really surprised at this community's kids. The parents did a great job. The other thing I'll throw out there too is there's a little entitlement going on that I think bugs me sometimes. But what parent doesn't want to spoil their kid? So what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? You gotta love the kid. Loving the kid means spoiling him too. What do you do? So being of your age group, and are you aware of just how you sort of said it? You just verbalized it a little bit a few minutes ago. But are you aware of that kind of atmosphere as far as everybody? We're talking about people fear of failure. No, you don't have a fear of failure. Do you witness that? Do you feel like you're part of that whole thing where this is where the youth of this town is a very special, like this generation, this age group is like a really cool, powerful, empowered, special kind of a troop going out into the world, if not staying here?
I think it's becoming more of that than not, because in the past, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I really didn't feel that as much. But as you said, especially when the beauty shop got renovated and everything, and just new bands started up, and just people started expressing their passion, as I was speaking about previously, that whole entire atmosphere started to change, and the vibes started to just basically explode.
Yeah.
And now the youth is a powerful force in this town, and it's fantastic to see. I can't wait to come back after a year at UCSD and see how it's going here.
That's the point. That's really my point. In that people my age and older, to be honest, I don't know very many people my age. It's sort of like the town took a skip.
There's like a split.
It went from here to there.
There's like definitely a split, and I've noticed it kind of gapping more and more.
Huge gap. I mean, I know people that are much older than me, and then there are people that are much younger than me, and I'm still trying to figure out where I'm fitting in here. But I am very proud of. I personally am very proud of watching the kids grow, and I've been here for 2.5 years. So there is enough of a window to witness like some growth in a lot of the kids, and just as an entity, as far as an identity of the town.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Beauty Shop is a perfect example how that sort of all came to be. If you were to be here 10 years from now, what would you like? Those of us who probably will not be here 10 years from now. But Gage. By the way, we're talking with Gage Solo Blanton, and we're also talking with Sam Marsanjani. Not Sam Marsanjani, but Sam Marsanjani.
It's all good.
You should have never sent me that Facebook message.
I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have.
But what do you think 10 years from now? What do you think? What would be the major? What are you predicting? Expansion-wise, because this is not going to be the older generation's town. That's gone. That's over with. For many reasons. I won't go into the sad reasons why, but
I hope Fairfield flourishes. I hope there are people that do stay here and that want to be artists, stick to it.
Yeah.
And don't just succumb to whatever that holds them back. I hope they stick to it.
All right.
Because I feel like it's kind of tricky if being an artist here to want to stick to it and make it a profession.
Yeah, that's right. It is tricky because of the population, mainly more, right? More than not.
Yeah, and I feel like the population's getting bigger and bigger, and I hope the Sondheim is able to do what it was meant to do.
yeah, it is kind of. Actually, we had Rustin.
Has it been picking up more?
Well, we had Rustin here,
Okay.
Rustin Lippincott, and we had a discussion about that, and the numbers are better, and he has shows all the time. And in fact, this is the first time. And in fact, for such a small town, think about this: for such a small town to have that many shows all the time here, the main problem now in town is that there are competing venues all the time. It's like, wow, when did that happen?
Right.
And thus proving the art music emphasis, and not emphasizing the science athletic.
The main thing I would hope is that it's just that there needs to be more jobs in this town. I know too many people, and I hear too many people saying that they need stuff.
Can I tell you something for a community? And this is my I don't do politics on this show. I'm very happy to on my radio show, but I can't do it on this show because I think that's not fair. This is about art, and this is about the community, and it's introducing. The catchphrase is introducing Fairfield to Fairfield. So that's the mission. Even those that are leaving Fairfield, but I feel like even those that are leaving Fairfield, you are sooner than this guy is. But I feel like for a community that's this progressive and this caring and this supportive of the youth getting virtually everything they need in order to succeed in the world and also personally, and on every level. I feel like we are missing, just as this sort of gap happens age-wise, I was talking about before, I feel like there is a gap in people supporting. If I know that my friend needs a gig, unless my friend is absolutely insane, more likely than not, I would probably try to figure out. It's like let's go have lunch and figure out what you probably should be doing. And you know what? I know this guy who knows that guy. It's about contacts, right? I would love to see, personally, I'm just throwing it out there. I would love to see more of that. I would love to see people helping other people and putting them in situations where they might be able to get gigs and stay in Fairfield and flourish even more in Fairfield. I think that's what Fairfield is. I think that's when I was saying, what are we 10 years from now? I'm hoping that that's what we are 10 years from now. That we don't have to worry. That's right. If we're going to have sustainable living, let's really have sustainable living and sustain the people that are living here too.
Right. And it's like in the past 2 years, I've seen 5, 6, 7 shops shut down.
Yeah.
And it's just like shops that opened for 6 months even.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
but I think to what you said, it's like no fear of failure. There's no real fear of failure.
Right,
so that's a healthy thing. That whole cycle of if the shop doesn't work, that's business.
What is it? 1 out of 10 every restaurant. One out of 10 every restaurant stays up, but the other 9 get shut down in about a year or so.
Yeah.
And that's about how the cycle is. And so that's the thing in Fairfield. As we keep saying, it's a fear of failure, and that's how it should be in the world. As soon as that
fear of failure. Yeah.
And, exactly. Thank you.
No fear.
Thank you for that. Not having a fear of failure. If that whole entire idea is taken up by people all around the world, then we're going to progress in an artistic fashion, in a scientific fashion, in an athletic fashion, and beyond ways that we can even imagine today.
See the pride that you have in your town and the energy that you have. I'm hoping you never lose that, and I'm hoping that and I know that a lot of the kids in town have that also. You're not alone, and the same with you. As much as you're going away, there will always be a little of Fairfield in you, and especially if your buddies Shane and folks like that are still going to be here doing their amazing. We almost had him today. Their amazing work at crew with the music. Part of today's show, I really wanted to get into some of the music that he's been introducing. There is no track that he plays on his show that I don't go, oh my god, that's really great.
Yeah. And I'm just happy. I'm so glad to be a part of it, and I'm working with him.
How did you get involved with those guys, by the way?
Through Fooch, actually. I saw him. We met at a show, and from then it just closed.
Fooch being
Fooch, the MC, Raphael Green.
Yeah, Raphael Green.
After that, we all just kind of met each other, and everybody just meshed really well. And it's just, as the progression has come on, everybody's found more and more their place in their role.
Yeah, and it's also like discovering your friends, discovering your tribe. Mm-hmm. And now we have a few minutes left. What haven't we covered that we should cover with you? Design-wise, what else should we know?
I don't know.
We've covered a lot of territory. What about, now you're talking about style relative to what's going on in music, right? What about have you pictured other kind of fields where people would be wearing your clothing line?
Well, yeah, I tap on it a little bit, but I'm really trying to stay away from trends.
Okay.
I like to go for things that if you saw this shirt in 10 years from now, it wouldn't look like it was 10 years old.
Okay. And every piece is uniquely made?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all made by completely design everything.
Nice. You, what do we need to know?
I think we covered quite a bit of territory today, but
I don't know. We haven't covered your basketball prowess either, but
I shoot around.
Yeah, shoot around. Yeah, another modest one. Yeah. What about? Have you been tempted to do some of the other activities? Were you ever part of let's say, the speech?
Yeah,
debate?
Our freshman year is funny because our class as a freshman class were forced to do 1 year speech. And we actually made it to All-State, both girls and guys. And it's unfortunate to say the girls won the All-State competition. But, it was good. We both had standing ovations. It was really a great experience. That's something that our school gives to us, which we are basically forced to play all different sports and all different activities and different extracurriculars because there's such little amount of people, and that's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Because I never knew I would have liked to play basketball, but I was never on the team, but now all the time on Mondays and Thursdays I go out and I shoot with the guys, and it's always a blast.
So you guys, even though school is out, you guys are still getting together and you're still playing basketball?
It's mostly the alumni.
Yeah. Oh, mostly the alumni. But your class, you were, the seniors were all sort of, that was a tight class for the most part.
It became one this year.
Yeah.
This year, but it was definitely, we were in an interesting class. You can ask many people.
We had a lot of egos in there too. I don't know how that blended, but it did end up blending in the end.
It did end up blending. I'm definitely going to stay in touch with most of the guys in my class. They're all really close. I've even grown up with. I've known over half of them since I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like more of a brotherly feeling rather than a friendship. So.
Ah, interesting. Yeah, it's a closeness without being able to, without the obligations of having to do the,
Sibling duties.
your friendship duties. Okay, so we'll wrap it up now. What is immediately on your plate? What are you going to be doing like in the next few weeks?
Working on this Grand National project, which is a side project with Fooch and Villanova Slim. And
I love that we almost had them on the show too, by the
right,
way.
and Purple Blaster Cadillac Takes Shape is in almost all of its mastered, so that's coming
Nice.
out.
And there's a new guitarist, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I won't go into too much of that.
We won't do the announcement. We'll actually
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
gang back again for that because we had the last version of the band on the show.
And working on a new music video that I'll be producing.
Producing? Did you write it? Did you script it?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Are you going to direct it?
I did, yeah. Yep.
Are you also going to be the cameraman?
I have, it's already been shot.
Are you going to be holding up the cue cards?
No, but that and then just be on the lookout for more clothes. Basically, is like the main thing. SoloClothingCo.com.
There you go.
That's it.
Perfect. That's exactly right. You, sir. Other than going, well, you're off.
Well, I'll be off in about actually 4 weeks to UCSD, but I'm flying to LA in about 4 or 5 days to meet up with some individuals in the PTSD organization over in UCSD, and they have a whole entire hospital there for the veterans. I'm going to meet with a few personnel there, and then
he just doesn't stop with this
and then,
helping mankind thing.
And then I'm hoping to basically be the bridge between UCSD and DLF to get a study done from UC San Diego, which is pretty much one of the most prestigious bioengineering schools in the world in its current state. So.
Your father must be very disappointed in you.
He hates me.
Oh, God.
He hates me for going to UCSD. No, it's good.
He's going to miss you. I'll bet. Yeah, he's another nice guy. We'll have him on the program at some point too, and he'll talk about you.
Oh, great.
I can have a little fun there and send it
I tried to get that with the syntax.
No brilliant ideas, man. I'll talk to you about that after the
No,
show.
let me see. He's here for another month. We certainly can do it. All right, so let's wrap it up. Again, everybody, we've been talking with Mr. Gage Solo Blanton over here, and he's been reintroducing his clothing design to us here on Fairfield 2.0. And we also have Sam Arsanjani over here, who's going away soon to college to improve and better the world as we know it. Single-handedly with his cape and flank. Which, by the way, Batman. You guys have seen the latest Batman?
Yes.
I actually haven't.
Oh yeah.
I want SWAT before I go. I want a SWAT team around me before I go.
All right.
That was something. Wasn't it?
We can't took it. It's a little too soon.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, that movie was amazing.
It was fantastic.
I actually really want to see.
I
that.
love the
That was
Avengers. I
fantastic.
thought the Avengers was the best thing I'd seen this
That
year,
was
and then I saw Batman. I was like, how did he do that? How'd they do that? They topped, and I think in some ways they topped the second Batman.
Really?
They did.
Yeah.
I have to go see it.
They did it
was
like
very
emotionally.
well done.
They did it. It was very well done. Not the Batman. It's not your father's Batman, I guess is how they would say it. All right. Fairfield, thank you for watching Fairfield 2.0 with Mike Ragogna, but you knew that. And guys, come back as often as you'd like. We'll need a progress report from you when you get back. But of course, we'll have that show with your father and you on the Okay, Fairfield.
Yeah, we're coming, man.
We'll see you next time on Fairfield 2.0.
Later, guys.